Hey, Kiwi. How's it going, everybody? We're about to pull up our friend here, brother by the name of Joshua Friedman. I connected with him in 2018. We talked about doing a show. We never did, and I guess
One of the greatest highlights of
Morgan
the first year of our
reached
partnership
out to
is
him.
seeing an increase in traffic at 20%, an increase in revenue at 100.
Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, we're going to bring him up now. Oh, wait, hang on. Okay, here we go. Let's see. We had a good show this morning. There he is. All right. Okay.
There
You good? Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, I can.
What's going on, Joshua?
Nothing much. Just got done meditating, preparing my mind for this lovely podcast.
Yeah, I was a little bit. I knew when I saw your name on the calendar, I was like, I know this dude. And then I went back and looked at the messages, and we talked. And then I went to your site and saw you do a little rapping, a little conscious rapping. So
Yes, I do conscious hip hop, and have a lot of stuff coming out 2020. Clothing and stuff coming. So.
Oh, right on. Let me see that.
So it has the flower life with the eye of horse in the center, and it says new paradigm, fifth dimension.
Very cool. We'll have to talk about that. I do a little conscious rapping myself. I call it soul speaking. It's not rapping. It's not singing.
Awesome.
But
I produce and engineer all my stuff, and I got an album out right now that's called Indigo Revolution. It's out on all platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud, YouTube.
I'll have to pull something up. You got it on YouTube. We'll pull something up and listen to it in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm into the I'm not much of a freestyler, not with the rhyming, although I can pull some stuff that I've written that I remember, and it comes out and another piece comes in. But as far as just freestyling, flowing, and rhyming, that's a difficult one. But I love the expression of that type of thing. To me, it's like a contemporary light language.
Right. I actually have a song where I haven't released it yet, but I actually have a song where I do light language the entire track.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Do you know it by heart?
I don't, because I basically just freestyled it. I just went in and went crazy with let the light language rip. And that's freestyle light language. Made a freestyle light language song.
So do you do light language often? I mean, just in your
Yes, I do.
hmm?
Yes, since
So
I was maybe 4 years old.
wow, we're gonna get into this. One of the things that kind of surprised me and somewhat upset me a little bit is we've been through Shasta, and I saw that you lived in Shasta,
Yes.
and I saw that we had connected or tried to connect, and do a show in 2018. So here we are, and
Yeah.
you're young. You're a lot younger than me. You're probably half my age. But when did you wake up? You just mentioned you've been doing light language since you were 4 years old. When did all this?
So so I came in awake. Um, I was basically born awake. I had recall, past life recall of Atlantis, and also remembered volunteering to incarnate on Earth to fight this spiritual multidimensional battle. And so my parents were religious and Christian, so I came in with all this recall and was having contact and experiences and downloads and visions, and I was trying to tell my parents, and they just really didn't have a grid for it. And so, you know, but basically when I was 3 years old, I remember my mom was reading me the Bible, and she was talking about heaven and angels. And when she started talking about the angels, I started remembering, having a memory come up of me in space, floating above the earth, and I'm looking down at the earth, and basically I'm a indigo. I'm looking down at the earth, and I look down at my hands, and my hands are made of indigo blue light. And basically I was an indigo blue light being, and I was looking out the earth, and I was like saying passionately that I want to help these people. I want to help this world. I want to help them fight this multi-dimensional, multi-time battle. And so yeah, I remembered volunteering. And so I told my mom, and she's telling me about angels. I said, Mom, did you know that we are all angels before we came here? And she said, oh, no, 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 there's heaven, and that's where the angels are, and then there's earth, and that's where the humans are, and there's hell, and that's where the demons are. And what she didn't get is I wasn't asking her, I was telling her, because I
Yeah,
knew and
right.
I remembered.
So this was happening to you really as you were beginning to talk.
Yeah, no, as my first memories are that kind of stuff.
Wow.
so,
Wow.
so
Now,
yeah,
okay, so let's go back to your development, like the early days. I want to go back to the what some people refer to as the spiritual war, galactic war, whatever you want to
right.
call it. I'd love to dive into that a little bit. But in your development, when you were such a young kid, I mean, how old are you now? Like 28,
I'm 23.
23? Well, you got that beard. It makes you look older. That's why I look so
No,
old.
I've always looked like when I was 13, everyone thought I was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
I've always looked, acted, and hung out with people way way beyond my
Yeah.
years. So
I,
I've
I always liked friends like yours because they could go in and buy beer. So like in your early development, like now you're in your, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. Are you having visitations? Are you having clear communication from Star Family? What was happening?
okay. So so like I said, at 3, I was telling my mom, "Did you know that we are all that we're all angels before we came here?" And I remembered volunteering to fight the spiritual battle. And before I volunteered and incarnated in this body, I was a blue indigo light being. And this is actually what it means to be a indigo child, is that your consciousness and your spirit incarnated from the indigo ray of light, which is the sixth dimension, the sixth ray of light, and the sixth wavelength. And so um, basically, I had that recall of being a blue light being before I incarnated. Then at about 4 years old, they started showing up to me. They looked exactly how I remembered looking before I incarnated. These blue light beings that are basically silhouettes. They're these indigo, transparent, translucent silhouettes of light, and they all look exactly the same. They're all the same height. They have they don't have a face. They have no features. It's just a silhouette. And that's because there's no ego in the sixth dimension. When you're in the spirit, we're all one. It's all unity. There is no duality or features to kind of like uh contrast you know what I mean? We're all
Yeah.
one, and so we don't even have features or face. It's just a indigo silhouette of light. And so yeah, I remembered volunteering and being one of them. And then at 4 years old, I was like playing with my toys in my room, and it was like for some reason it's always noon. I get contact around noon, and they just phased into my room, 3 of them, and I look over and I'm like, whoa, these beings are there. And I ran to my mom's room and said, hey, there's these blue like beings in my room watching me. And she goes, oh, they're probably angels. And I was like, yeah, I think they're angelic, but they're not those white guys with the wings in the book you showed me. So it's like, yeah, they're angelic, but I was like, but you haven't, there's another element to it, so I was kind of looking for like multidimensional or like celestial or
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
extraterrestrial
Yeah.
is the word I
So
was really looking
now,
for.
so when they came in the room, this wasn't third eye. This was apparitions in the room.
No, this is physical. Yeah, no, I've seen it with my actual eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I have experienced the same thing, but not as, well, I think she actually had experiences when she was in the same age range that you're talking about. But these were actually appearing. Now, what did they say from the get-go? What were they?
They wouldn't say anything. At least that I remember from back then. I feel that they would just appear to me to remind me of who I was and remind me that they're there.
Okay.
And so that's what it really feels like, is they're always there to remind me who I am. And it's like my star family from, the other side saying like, we're here, we're watching over you, we got your back. And so, yeah, that happened. I remember volunteering, being one at 3. At 4, they started showing up to me. From about 4 to 7 years old, they would show up to me like that all the time around noon when I'd be playing with my toys. And then, and also at 5 years old, I had experience around noon where I'm sitting on my bed and my back's to the wall. And I know where this huge golden orb comes out the corner and just light flashes and lights up my entire room like flashbang. Like I couldn't see anything. Everything went all white, but I felt all this bliss and euphoria and love, and the light dimmed down. And at the very end of my bed was a golden light being, a golden silhouette that was like at the end of my bed. It looked like it was like praying, like on its knees at the end of the bed. And at the time, because my parents were Christian stuff, I interpreted that being as Jesus or Yeshua. And and I've had 3 other encounters with that being, and every time it's a golden light, it's a golden aura. And so
Have
yeah,
you tried to? Did you ever try to talk to the indigo beings or the gold being?
so okay, so yeah, so I'm still having this contact up to today, up to present day. So these were just like my first contacts with that. Oh, the other thing is that when I was 4 years old, I would go to sleep almost every night. And every night when I go to sleep, almost every night when I go to sleep, I'd be in this black void, and a blonde-haired, blue-eyed lady with a blue jumpsuit on would just like walk through the void, like airwalk up to me in the void. And she would start talking to me and kind of reminding me who I was and teaching me things. And then when I turned 5, this was like from 3 to 5 years old. And then when I turned 5 years old and I started going to school, then when I went to sleep at night, she started taking me to school, to their school. And and I only have two like memories, and they're very brief and not very vivid, but one of them is that we're in this classroom. It's a white room. Towards the top, right before you hit the roof, there was a green trim around the walls. And I'm in this room with a bunch of other kids, and she walks up and she hands me this puzzle, this thing that kind of looks almost like, where's my icosahedron? This thing that kind of looks like this, but it's way different. Like it's different, but it's kind of like this. If you put this into like a Rubik's Cube type thing. So it's like this multi-dimensional puzzle thing. That's like an icosahedron, a Rubik's Cube hybrid thing. And basically they would give it to you and see how fast you could take it apart and put it back together, or what you could do with it. And so like some kids could take it apart and put it back together really fast, but then some kids who were really advanced could take it apart and make it into different shapes and different things and different patterns, and like could make different things out of it, or make multiple puzzles out of that one puzzle and break it down into like fractals. And so, but I never remember doing the puzzle. I don't know if it's because I'm not supposed to remember how to do it, but all I can ever remember is them handing it. I would see the other kids do it, and then they would hand it to me, and then everything goes blank.
Right.
But what happened is I would never go to school from like 5 years old. I was like SARB from kindergarten up, because I would not go to school, and my dad was gone out of town doing business like 6 days of the week, and my mom would, try to tell me, why don't you want to go to school? And I would tell her at about 6 or 7 years old, I would tell her, they're not, in these exact words, about 7 years old, they're not teaching me about my purpose. They're wasting my time, Mom. They're not teaching me about my purpose and what I'm here to do. And when I go to school at night, they're teaching me about my purpose and teaching me about real things that matter. Was
there a point when your parents started to allow the possibility or the possibilities of what you were experiencing?
They didn't disregard it. They just didn't have like
they couldn't grasp it.
They couldn't grasp it, or they just thought like I was a kid with a big imagination, or the stuff was just going over their head. Another thing is like at I don't know, I had a lot going on. At 5 years old in kindergarten, they had us write our first book. And because we didn't know how to write, because it's kindergarten, they had us just draw pictures. And so like we would draw one picture to draw, and then the next picture to tell a story. And my first book, my favorite movie at 5 was like Lord of the Rings. And because I love Legolas and the elven people and the Middle Earth. And and so my first book I wrote was actually like Legolas and those elven guys, because I lived near Mount Shasta as a kid. Because I was having visions.
You live near Shasta. You still live there, but I mean, you live near Shasta.
Yeah, I basically, my parents divorced when I was young, but I basically grew up going back and forth from the Bay Area to Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
And
so what has been your experiences, your connection, your communion with the elementals, the elvins and fairies and Sasquatches, and have you had any interactions?
So what I was saying with the elven people is that I wrote this book, and the book was about the elven people basically taking Frodo and those guys into Mount Shasta, and Mount Shasta took them down into the center of the earth. This was at 5 years old. This was the first book I wrote. And so besides that, what was I going to jump into?
So your relationship with, or your interactions with the elementals, have you had anything?
I'm not sure. I can't say I've necessarily had interaction with fairies, but I think some people consider orbs fairies, and I've had interaction with the orbs like my entire life, and the blue beings that I talk about actually are the orbs. They show up. They come into my room as an orb, and then they shapeshift into a human silhouette.
So given everything, so you're 23, so for the whole time, you've been observing, remembering this stuff, having these visitations and interactions, communications, communion, and I'm sure many, many other dimensional, interdimensional, all that stuff. What do you think we're doing here? Where do you think we're at right now? Like, what do you think we're doing here? What's the purpose, all of us? Where are we at right now? People talk about ascension, expansion. They talk about disclosure. They talk about conspiracy. They talk about, all this stuff. From your perspective, what's the state of the union?
I think we're really at a tipping point right now. We're really at a crossroads, at an intersection where, it's really up to us and the collective, what direction we're going to go in. And the two main directions I see is biological, spiritual, metaphysical ascension, or AI, artificial intelligence, cybernetic ascension, transhumanism. And that's not really ascension, but it's a way of advancement that kind of makes us less advanced, but in a way. But yeah, that's really what I see is there's this crossroads where we're either gonna ascend and go interdimensional and look within
Yeah.
and and activate our DNA and our full brain capacity and the kingdoms of heaven within us and our 12 DNA strands and our 15 gates. And so we're either gonna go in and become interdimensional and activate and ascend, biologically, spiritually, or people are gonna look to technology for ascension, see the grays, the Dracos, the reptilians, all of the negative entities, they're not spiritually advanced or ascended. So they
Yeah.
have to codepend on technology to ascend for them. They're very smart, but they're not spiritually advanced. So basically, they're the malevolent beings. They have to use, their UFOs are built. They're what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know why I can't think of the word right now, but they're built, and so they're made of actual like metals and materials and densities and stuff.
You're talking about the lower.
The negative beings,
Yeah.
the grays, the Dracos, the reptilians. Their ships are actually built with the engine, anti-gravity engine in them, with AI supercomputers that basically can do the time synchronicity, interdimensional time travel codes for them because they can't actually do them themselves. So they're codependent on AI to time travel, to teleport, to go to higher dimensions or through stargates. When the real ascended beings, the real higher dimensional beings, the real gods are light beings, and their ships are made of pure light. They're just made of the ether. They're made of pure consciousness. And so your consciousness and their consciousness, and you drive them consciously with your consciousness and their conscious driven vehicles. And it's a symbiotic, even the material ones are symbiotic relationship, because they'll create they'll infuse your DNA into the craft in a way to where only you can drive the craft and the craft only turns on for your DNA.
But I think there's something to be said. You bring up a good point. You're a wealth of information. I think energetically, if we keep it in a general sense, everybody gets this. It's like the Draco gray, that element that you're talking about is more in the physical, even though it's got a higher physicality than our dense, realm here. It's still physical,
Right.
and it's also sounds like it is also very much an external. Like you said, there's a codependent relationship, so they rely on the external, where the other method or the other way is an internal thing. I wonder if in proportion to the collective internal work that's done, an expansion that's done from those kingdoms of heaven that you describe inside the body, so to speak, I wonder if there's not a direct, virtually immediate mirroring effect of what's happening in the physicality. And I say that because I've always thought that we're actually here to merge the non-physical and the physical.
Right. Yeah, we're here to bring heaven, create heaven on earth. We're bridges between the heaven and earth, between the spiritual and physical realms. And the technology that they're creating is basically mimicking nature. So they take the physics and science of spiritual, physics, and then they make technology out of it, because they don't know how to go interdimensional and go within their self and aren't spiritually ascended or advanced. Versus the beings, the real advanced beings, like the indigo light beings, they don't need a spaceship. They don't need an AI computer. They don't need anything. They are the spaceship.
Yeah.
They are the Merkaba. They are the starship.
Of course.
And,
how would you feel about, so I lost my question, but let me lead back into it. So 2, 3, 4 nights ago, my wife and I talk about it I talk about it on the show all the time. We clasp hands at night, lay down, and then see what happens. And so we had a dragon energy come in, which has come in many times, but this one was very different. Without going into all the details, one of the things that we were told was that they were a part of the original reptilians. and they weren't the whole group, but they were a part of the original reptilians, and that they had made a commitment to expansion, to self-responsibility, to everything is, you know, it's never them, it's always me. And that they reached a mastery level that had a lot of different characteristics of dragon. And I thought that really resonated with me. And I just saw my brother Richie put on there, we are reptilians, we are everything. But I guess where I'm going with it, if I look at AI, you know, and we go real literal on it in the physical, I guess, explanation, it seems very separate. But if we look at it from a higher perspective, how do you feel about the statement, for instance, that everything's made of the same substance? God is substance, source substance, and we can work with any energy that we come across, whether it be an artificial moon or whether it be an AI robot standing next to us.
Well, you know, in my opinion, this whole external reality is an illusion. The only reason that we can see everything around us right now is because the light, energy, frequency, and information from it is being condensed. Like, you understand, so if it was nighttime right now, we could look up in the night sky and we would see light years of information. We could look light years across the galaxy just looking out in the night sky. So how is it that all that light years of information, because the only reason you can see all those stars in the night sky is because all of that light years and all of that light and all that information, all that vibration frequency can somehow be condensed and compressed into the black hole singularity in the center of your eye, because your eyes are black holes. So the only reason you see everything around you is because the light, energy, information, frequency from it is being compressed and condensed in the black hole in the center of your eye. And your eyes see it upside down or backwards like a mirror. Then it projects onto your brain. Then it hits your left brain, which is your masculine brain, which is your compartmentalized ones and zeros, statistical, kind of got to see it to believe it brain. Then that brain decodes it and filters it through the biased lens of your own belief systems and your own level of awareness and education and depth on what it is that you're looking at. Then it projects it outward, and that's why they call it your outlook on life. Yeah. And so basically this means you don't see anything with your eyes, because, you know, if I look out this window right now, you know, this window isn't seeing outside for me. This window is allowing light to come in from outside so that I could see. So your eyes are just windows. And basically you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind, AKA mind's eye, your third eye. So in one of my songs, I said, your third eye is your first eye. So be careful what you think. And so you really don't see with these two eyes. The only eye you see with is your mind's eye, is your third eye. These are just windows. That's right. And so, you know, basically what this means is you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind, but your mind can only see through its own biased lens of perception and beliefs. And then you project it outward. So what this really means is it's actually a scientific fact that everything you see is a projection and reflection of your perception. Yeah. And if it's a scientific fact that everything is a projection, reflection, of your perception, that means it's a scientific fact that you're trapped inside of a hologram that's being projected by your own subconscious mind. Yeah. So see, you aren't experiencing reality as it is, you're experiencing reality as you interpret it. See, you don't see me, no one that's on here right now sees me. You guys see your interpretation of me, because out of all the people on here right now, no one sees me exactly the same. And even my own friends and family. My wife obviously doesn't seem the same as my best friend, okay? And my wife obviously doesn't seem the same as my mom or my dad. So each person in my family or friends group, none of them see me. They all just see their interpretation of me. Of course. You understand? And same goes for reality. Yeah. And so
my son's about your age, and he told me something when he was about 16 or 17. He said, we don't see everything the same. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if I look down there and say that table's blue, and you say, yeah, it is blue, how do you know your blue's the same as my blue?
Right.
You know? And I was like, whoa, okay. So now going back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, you mentioned the word war. A lot of people have. I went through my own evolution with that whole aspect. I had a couple of years of galactic war memories, and eventually accepted. And I'm not saying it's the right way or whatever. I'm just saying I accepted all aspects of the universe, dark and light. And I look at I guess what I'm saying to you, let me put it another way. How important is the story? How important is the story that got us to this point right now today? When are we going to let go of the stories? Are they important? Are we not all merging back to the one, whether it be that one choice that you said humanity may have versus the other choice? Are they not in the paradox of the universe quite possibly the same thing? It just looks like it's not.
So really, okay, so the reason it's that the story and his story, that's his story, history, his story, is that's our story. It's not like that's the Earth's story or that's the Earth's history or, oh, that's this universe's story. Everything is you. You are inside of yourself. See, right now, you are the unified consciousness that someone called God or Source experiencing itself as a fractal human.
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize, see, like a lot of people realize that the fractal is in the whole, but what most people don't realize is also the whole is inside of the fractal.
Yeah.
And basically, when this, you are inside the universe, but the universe is also inside you, the same way that when you were in your mother's womb was in you, because your mother's DNA was inside you when you were in your mother's womb. So with you and your mother was in you. And what is your mother made out of? You're made out of what your mother's made out of, but what is your mother made out of? Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
Her DNA, the blood is made of iron, metal, mercury, nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium. Well, guess what? What is our sun? Our sun is made of atoms, and it's made of iron, metal, mercury, nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium. Well, your blood's made of atoms, and it's made of iron, metal, mercury, nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium. So you're literally made of stardust, which literally means your mom 3D printed you in her womb out of the universe itself. So basically, everything is, it's that's what I'm saying. All there is within. As a kid, they played a reverse psychology on us in a psyop and a sleight of hand when we would tell our dreams, our visions, our ideas, and they would say, oh, that's just a dream. Oh, that's not real. Oh, that's just in your imagination. Well, guess what? I just explained that it's a scientific fact that this whole reality is in your imagination because everything is a projection, reflection, and perception. So guess what? The highest level elite know that this is all in your imagination. So what they really did there is they played a sleight of hand on you, and they got you to not trust your heart, not trust your dreams, not trust your visions, not trust your recall, not trust your ideas. Oh, but trust the money. Trust the money, trust your cell phone, trust whatever you can see and touch and smell and taste and hear.
Trust the illusion. Trust the
right.
illusion.
Trust everything but yourself. Trust anything, please. Trust anything. Just do not trust yourself. And they've completely alienated yourself from yourself.
I totally agree with you. You're, I've said for a long time, we're the dog chasing our tail. And I say,
right. And here's a good one that came with that, right? Is the tail isn't TAIL, it's TALE.
Yeah.
Chasing your tail.
Yeah. We're chasing, and even go further, the fairy tale, the one that we said.
Right. You're chasing your tail, your past.
The fairy tale is actually real. Truth is stranger than fiction, which means fiction. You know what I mean?
So what I was getting at was to sum it all up for what you were saying with the history, is that your consciousness was here before and at the beginning of the universe. So the history of the universe and of the earth is your history.
Yeah.
That's the story of you and how you got here and how you began. That's the true story of your birth. That was the true birth. Yeah. And so, to understand your history, one, it helps you understand where we're going, because time is a cycle. It's cyclic, and everything comes full circle through 60.
And so where does we go back to the first thing, the human. We have a hashtag here, the human is the hero. And the reason I say that is because why in the hell would we be 99% conscious, most of us, 99% of the time be at this consciousness where there's I don't want to say predominantly the five senses or the lower senses, but you know what I'm talking about, the human consciousness. with, which is one, let's just say 1% of our multidimensional consciousness, when we have that other 99% that we see 1% of the time. And I know that's changing for people. People are downloading, channeling, transmitting. Everybody, not everybody, but enough people beyond at least close to a tipping point or beyond know the story now. We know that we were duped. We know all that stuff. The story goes away. What are we doing here? Why is there so much? Why is our consciousness so embedded in the human consciousness? Do we have a purpose? Is there a meaning? I don't feel we're trapped, but I'm just saying, are we trapped? I mean, what's going on? What are we here to do, if anything?
I mean, right now there's a multi-dimensional, multi-time, multi-universe convergence and merging that's taking place right now here on Earth, because Earth doesn't just exist in this time, in this dimension, in this universe. It exists in multiple times, multiple dimensions, and multiple universes at once. And so there's really this crazy omnidirectional, multi-dimensional, interdimensional battle that's taking place of multiple timelines, of multiple eras, and multiple races and ages and dimensions, all colliding right here and now into the present moment. And, you know, I always say our presence is a present when we're present in the moment. I say that in one of my rap songs, one of my conscious hip hop tracks. And, you know, it is key to be present, but also how can we be present if we don't even know where the present is located? You see what I'm saying? How can we be present if we don't even know what the present is? So it's kind of like, if we are going to be fully present, don't we need to know our history and catch up with ourselves so we know exactly where we're at in the timeline? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you think it's inevitable, or do you think that we have some type of influence? I know from a quantum observer, like you were talking about earlier, because I totally agree with that. We create it, but I mean, do you think that this cyclical thing is happening? You know, either let go or be dragged. It's done. It's nothing you can do about it.
Well, there's artificial time and then there's real time, and we've been under an artificial time matrix, a mechanistic time matrix that, you know, I believe is basically a time spell being casted by Saturn and the moon. And so we've been under a Saturn moon matrix.
How can Saturn, and I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm here to expand.
Yeah, no, of course.
How can anything outside of me have power over me once I understand that I got duped or that I was being controlled? How can the moon or Saturn have any power over me at this stage in the game with this level of awareness, an individual and or a certain strong minority of the collective consciousness? You know.
So when you talked about the 1% versus the 99%, well, do you know what the 1% is? The external reality, the reality that you're seeing out of your eyes. The other 99% is the dark matter, the Akashic record that's completely 99% untapped potential within yourself. And so it's that everyone's caught up on the light, which is really what Lucifer means, or Luciferi, being a Luciferian is to be a worshiper of the light. And basically, if you're caught up in the lust of this hologram, this external reality, and what you see outside of your eyes in the matrix, then basically you're a Luciferian, whether you like it or not, or know it or not, because you're caught in the light. And so the other 99% is actually what's inside you. But until you fully, really, really go within yourself and realize, oh, there is no time, I am time. Yeah. And the only time that's real is the time that's happening within me right now. Like, it's all inner time. And so, I mean, there's levels to realizing, like, yes, we can break out from under the Saturn moon matrix. But if you're living on the 1260 time matrix, if you're living on the Gregorian calendar, which was originally the Sumerian calendar, then you are under a Saturn moon matrix, and you are under an artificial mechanical time matrix if you're living on the calendar.
How can,
and so
I'm just
tell you about
I'm here to learn. How can, by me marking time, whatever way, how can that have power over me? I mean, if I'm conscious in all my game, I'm not saying I'm perfect because nobody's walking on water, but I'm just saying, how can anything have power over me? Are we not here? Are we not
Well,
sovereign?
the only power it can have over you is the power you give it. And so that's what I'm saying. If you're living your life,
Is it, I understand that the Gregorian calendar was a program or is a program, but is
right.
not even spreading, I don't know. In other words, I also understand that programming can come in the form of suggestion, right? Because we were TV programming. I mean, you know, the power of suggestion. I mean, how do we break loose from these programs? How do we do that?
So untangling and deprogramming your DNA so that you can activate and reprogram it. And so basically, when we were, you know, basically the origin of the word matrix is matriarchy. And a matriarchy is the opposite of a patriarchy. A patriarchy is governed by male dominance. A matriarchy is governed by female dominance. So the origin word matrix is matriarchy. And so what the matrix actually is it's your mother's womb. So your spirit, it has no ego. It doesn't have all these emotional, you know, filters to process through. It's already ascended. But when your spirit came into your mother's womb, your mom and dad's DNA started to form an avatar around your spirit that's pre-programmed with traumas and characteristics and patterns and habits, some good, some bad. And when you're born into this reality, you are now processing the reality through the filter of your DNA. And so basically your DNA, basically, you know, I'm a spiritual being who volunteered to play a character named Josh in a movie called Earth. And
Yeah.
when I volunteered to take on this ego, this persona, I took on the script that came with it. And so there's a script. And so basically it's realizing that and taking back power of your DNA and realizing that you don't have to live under these traumas and under these characteristics and patterns, but you can actually deprogram and reprogram them. And so basically it's about taking control of the script and stop living under the script that was written for you and start writing your own script.
Exactly. We're transformers and creators. Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you.
Right. So to get to the point of, I think what we're kind of trying to get down to here is some people are on the black hole side of the Milky Way, and some people are living on the white hole side. And so what some would call ascended or 5D are the ones who are living on the white hole side of the universe of the Milky Way, and the ones who are still stuck in the matrix are the ones in the black hole side. If you're living on the black hole side universe, it's because you're a consumer and you don't have any of your own creative ideas, any of your own original authentic thoughts, any of your own style, any of your own anything. You basically are just an echo, a regurgitation of you know, a product of your environment, and you're basically just a big collage of all of this stuff that you've been influenced by because you're a consumer and you're operating from an outside in, got to see it to believe it reality, when some of us are actually interdimensional and operating from inside out, which is white hole system. And we're generating and creating things and birthing things into this world that's never been seen or heard before.
Absolutely. I want to, we're 45 minutes into it. Do you want to go an hour and a half?
Yeah, no,
Okay. So I thought what we do is take a little musical break. Okay.
Okay.
So, because I love this stuff, you know, and I haven't been really engaged in it in a while. But do you want to do a acapella light language? Do you want to do you know, acapella rap, or do you want me to put on a video? Maybe we can put the video on at the end of the show. And,
yeah, we'll put the video on at the end of the show.
That'll be the outro.
Yeah, the video we'll do at the end of the show. Well, it's called, I just released this video. Me and my friend, we filmed it up in Mount Shasta, the root chakra, Mother Gaia. It's called Fibonacci, and it's featuring my brother Illuminati Congo. And don't get freaked out, anyone. Illuminati just means illuminated.
Yeah, it's all right.
So
we'll play that at the end of the show. We'll play that at the end of. What do you want to do now?
I'll do an acapella. I'll spit an acapella.
All right.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, buckle up. About the hyperdrive shit. So maybe what we'll do here is I'll rap this and then I'll elaborate on what the lyrics mean. All right. This that celestial, extraterrestrial, multidimensional conscious, interdimensional conquest. We are all one, there's no contest. Indigo's running for Congress. Exit the matrix, pull off in my spaceship. I'm up in my sphere now. I feel like raw tear now. Switching them gears now. I have no fear now. Open the portal and go traversal. It's inside out. That's universal. Go back in time. Yeah, that's reversal. I can see the future. Yeah, that's rehearsal. That's 5D running through my IV. Remote view. I can see what any I see. I see a shift in the timelines. I caught a glimpse of the prime time. Keep going deeper and deeper and wake up the sleeper. Go wake up the mind's mind. Unlocking all the time's time. It's fractal, holographic, running through your synaptic. It's telepathic. Cymatic, control the static. Intergalactic, it's automatic. Ultra, that's Godspeed. Beginning to end, all is within. So please tell me, what does a God need? Please tell me, what does a God read? Genetic, synthetic blueprints. Indigo ray, yeah, we the blueprint. No 3D, this ET, yeah, this the new drip. So know your time for a couple blue strips. MK Ultra, they do you ruthless. All you know is a lie, get you living truthless. Look into your heart, yeah, that's where the proof is. Looking back in my body, now my spirit suitless.
Right on. Right on. No, I got the message on that one. That was very clear. So so we're gonna throw in some old school with some new school, right? And have a little fun with it. So I got one for you. Okay. I can't get the phrasing of hip hop, you know, rap, but I do it my own way. So it goes like this. This one's for you because I'm very honored to have you here today. I love the variety of this.
Thank you.
Conscious colored energies, hailing from the other side, alternating currencies, healing frequencies alive, pleasing demons lost and found, pains of angels, thorns all crowns, light vessels, white, black, red, yellow, brown. Self-inflicted burden spark, healing deep freakish tendencies, finally found my mark beneath these dependencies, sip and swallow just the same, yin yang vow of consistency, come on baby, play the game, pop the vein, spirit of serenity. Blessed by fears, sound epiphany, fatal dreams found to lose, earth faith, an anomaly, dirt shine, diamond blind, every card coming, aces, one kind, journey to divinity, shedding skin, conditioned sins, erasing false realities, journey of extremities, chaos in the harmonies, finite to infinities, postulated possibilities. Freedom is fearless and it's free. Spaceless time, timeless spaces, fought the light, found the dark, both played parts, animosity, beat the hell alive of me, lift the screen, change the script, triple beam, trinity, full flip, tetrahedron DNA, blueprint, sacred geometric, cabal bag of trick, enough to make you sick, feel the poor, feed the rich. But now, my friends, we got this shift. Sovereignty is soup, surrender to embrace. Clap your heels, Dorothy, stand in the room only, it's the holiest place. Take the mask off, see the world's face, surrender to embrace. All about that silent, empty space, the mind's heart, spirit, the I am soul. Purity, tears, so many lives, so many years, perfection, reflection, hear the howling of my ears, last stand of deception, universal correction. Past the peace, smoking angel trust, kiss the sky, crease the magical, new what we know, blossom and overflow, deuces time for double down, walk in hallowed ground, how your perfect pitch, shake your freedom, twitch the divine mama goddess, twitch, blue blood stars shine, epiphany wine, time to get your soul shine on through the many years, many lives, pay the many prices, time to get your soul shine on. That was fun.
That's good, bro. That's nice. I like the flow. Yeah. I mean,
So
just try to find a beat and you could like it,
yeah,
the beat should help set a tone and
yeah,
give a structure to like kind of fit that in. You know what I mean?
yeah. I did one to a little Jay Dilla beat. It's out. It's
Oh,
been out
nice.
there.
I got something to one of his beats too.
Yeah. So what about the light language? Now, how does that affected your life? You started doing light language at 4 years old. You do a whole song in light language freestyle. You do it every day. How does it come in? Does it have a message? What does it mean to you?
So light language is the language is our heavenly cosmic language. It's our spiritual language. It's the language of our spirit. It's our angelic, multidimensional, interdimensional language. And also sometimes it's us tapping into our DNA and our ancestral roots and our ancestral ancient Atlantean and cosmic languages coming out through our DNA as well. And so what's really interesting is a lot of times when I start it just hits me out of nowhere. I'll be driving, I'll be walking, or I'll be doing something, just hits me, bam, I know I have to start flowing in light language. I'll just start letting the light language rip. And a lot of times when I really start letting it rip, there will be like almost like a mantra within the light language I'm speaking. Like there'll be a couple key phrases that really stand out and are like golden. Like, okay, what is that? And then I'll picture how I would imagine it being spelt in my mind, and I'll just spell it out into Google and I'll search it. And almost every time it's actually in ancient Sumerian.
Wow.
Almost every time I search the light language that's coming through, it's ancient Sumerian. It's something in Sumerian that's like what was it last time? Like this just happened, actually. It happens a lot, but this last time it happened was like two or 3 weeks ago. And what I heard was Uras ki gal. And and I looked it up, and it's exactly something I was processing at the time. Uras was the Anunnaki motherly goddess of the earth, basically the queen of the earth. And so almost every time I speak light language and it comes through, I look it up, and it's Sumerian I'm speaking, which is the Anunnaki language, which is the Anuhazi language, which is the 12th dimensional Lyran Syrian Elohim language.
It's all connected, isn't it? It's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And that's how you know that stuff's real, because you know what I mean, it starts coming through and it's exactly what I'm processing. It's in Sumerian or or Hebrew, which Hebrew language is actually the Hebrew. The Hebrew language is actually the Nibiru language. And so the Hebrew language is the Nibiru language, which is the Ebi Uru language. And Ebi was as ancient for bird tribe, the avian. And Uru is ancient for the Draco. And so the Ebi Uru is the seraphim, which is the feathered serpent.
How do we turn on our DNA?
One, lots of meditation, looking deep within, spending a lot of time looking within, because really, you know, with ascension, a lot of people think they're going up and out, but they're actually going down and in. And so it's kind of this backwards mirror thing going on, where, you know, basically, you know, here's what's interesting. This whole lot, like I'm talking about, the 1% is what you're seeing out of your eyes. It's the reality. And you got these people chasing, you know, what's outside of them their whole life, because they think that the light outside of them is brighter or bigger or more special than the light that's inside them. And then people awaken, right? And then even when they awaken, then they want to astral project, right? And what are they trying to do? They're trying to project outside of their self up into something that's bigger than their self again, not realizing in is actually out. When you go in, you go up. When you go out, you go down. And so when you go in, it actually takes you upward. And so, and everything is already in you. See, if everywhere is within you, then are you already everywhere? If the whole universe is within you, then are you within the whole universe? So then do you need to go out, or are you already there? It's already in you. The place that you're trying to find is already inside of you, because you are a singularity. You are a black hole, white hole system, and everything that's outside you is inside you. So really, space is an illusion, because what you're seeing outside of you is really what's inside of you being projected outside of you and back at you, so that you can analyze your own infinite inner world. So, you know, space is an illusion, because you are the space and the space is you, which means everything you are looking for is right where you are, because you are everything you are looking for.
I'm digging this. So you've had experiences you talked about, a lot of people have, in terms of having a visitation with an apparition, right? Apparitions, or whatever you want to call it. Are they you that you're looking at, or are they separate from you?
I love that question. You know, I've had encounters with the other me's. Because, you know, really, we exist you know, when you say the kingdoms of heaven are within you, well, that means you are also within the kingdoms of heaven. So what that means is all the dimensions exist within you and you exist within them simultaneously. And so, you know, when my light frequency, when my spirit and consciousness projects in through the womb of this sun, and then into the frequency field of this earth, and then into the DNA of my mother and dad, it comes out looking human. But you know, everything is really made of vibration and frequency, and you can see through cymatics that sound is the architect of light, and sound is what shapes and structures everything. And so, you know, theoretically, not even theoretically, but I actually mean is hypothetically. If, you know, here's the thing. If you go look on the pyramids, you know, you see dragon, you see alligator people, bird people, dog people, cat people, green guys. And, you know, this green guy came from Orion. These cat people came from Lyra. These dog people came from Sirius. And you realize they all see the genetics into us. Well, guess what? You have a bird brain.
Yeah.
You have a bird part of your brain. You have a dog part of your brain. You have a reptilian part of your brain. You have a mammalian part of your brain. Well, how do you get a reptilian brainstem, a mammalian neocortex, without having reptilian mammalian genetics? That don't happen. You're a hybrid.
Yeah.
And so
universal soldiers.
Right. And so this human DNA resonates with this sun and the frequency of this earth. So in the frequency field, because the sun is the amp for our DNA, in the frequency field of and morphogenetic field of this sun and the earth's field, I take this form. But if I were picked up now and took to, let's say, Lyra, what would happen is I would unplug, bypass, and quantum untangle from this sun. Yeah. And when I go to Lyra, my DNA would plug into and quantum entangle with the Lyran sun. And that morphogenetic frequency and that morphogenetic cymatic frequency holds a different genetic template that would shapeshift and activate and amplify the resonance of my Lyran DNA that come from that relative place in space, and it would activate and cause me to shapeshift into more Lyran features. But once you become interdimensional and ascended, then you already know the atmosphere and frequency of that place and that DNA within you, because it's already activated, and you can just literally tune your like a tuning fork, tune your brainwaves and your frequency and DNA to the resonance of that star and of that place, and you'll shift right here because you're interdimensional. You're going there in your consciousness, but your body's still simultaneously here, and you bring that energy down here into this realm, and then you'll start seeing someone shape shift. Yeah. That's how you really. That's really how you shape shift. To get to the question, I think you asked, how do we activate our DNA?
No, that was sufficient. that was more than sufficient. It takes me to the next thing, which is
okay.
Which is this. Okay. We don't really know. Nobody can prove anything to anybody, and
right.
You're only going to my knowledge. You're Joshua. I'm Todd. You're only going to be Joshua one time, to my knowledge. I'm only going to be Todd. There seems to be a significant level of focus and importance, not just within our own experience that we share, but also from a lot of channeling, transmissions, intel that people have pulled in from the universal family, looking at the human experience and the human species and what we're going through and what we're doing is something very incredible. That's not just expanding this realm and elevating this realm, but also the universe and all dimensions and timelines. How do you feel about that?
Could you rephrase could you compress that question for me?
Yeah. So how important, it seems like there's a high level of importance and focus on the human hybrid species, the collective, the individual. There have been a lot of people that, I say a lot, in 1,600 shows, there's been a significant number of people that come on here channeling, transmitting, downloading information that basically says that the universal family is in extreme reverence of us, and that the elevations and expansions that we make here, real time, and the only thing we actually can hold in our hand, is actually having ramifications across all dimensions, all timelines, all universes. How do you feel about that? Or what do you say?
Well, yeah, if I understand what you're saying correctly, what we do here affects all of our simultaneous existences, and what we do in all of our simultaneous existences affects here, because it's all quantum entangled and intertwined. And also these other sometimes when we have contact with Pleiadians or avians or blue light beings or whatever it is, sometimes it's actually just you showing up to yourself to activate that template within yourself, because you exist as an avian simultaneously and as a Lyran silent. You exist in all these places simultaneously. So there's other yous in all these different universes.
Absolutely. So what would from your experience, from where you're standing, your perspective, what, for lack of a better word, what advice would you give to any of us from this point forward? How do we navigate to a more aligned degree, more consistent? How do we stay into consistent communion, connection, intuitiveness, and that type of thing?
The two main keys for me is lots of meditation and lots of serving your purpose and being service to others, and that being your genuine, like, sometimes it's like, I feel like sometimes our heart will do things with the right, like we'll start something off with the right heart frequency and intent, but then after a while of doing it, something might happen or not go right, and you'll get a little stressed out, and sometimes you'll get caught up and your intention will get like slightly compromised or something like that. And so I think it's really important that we always meditate and rebalance and recalibrate and get back into that center core heart state before we do anything, so that we make sure everything we do is in love, and that every step we take is in love and coming from the heart. And so really just having really just like, even if you're going through a lot and you're depressed, like one of my keys for if I get depressed, just by just even from being an empath and everything going on the earth and taking on the earth and everyone's thoughts and emotions, not even mine sometimes, what really helps me get out of a depression, like a low vibrational pit, is being service to others. If I'm going through all this stuff and I'm having a hard time breaking out of it, I'll just go, okay, Spirit, show me who I need to call right now. And next thing you know, I'll spend the next 6 or 7 hours just calling 4 or 5 different people back to back, spending an hour or two on the phone with each person, helping them process whatever they're going through, or helping them, connect dots or whatever. And by the time I'm off those phone calls, serving others and helping others, I'm just on fire and I feel like me again, and I feel great. And so, and even in the Bible, which I'm not religious or anything, but I don't remember even the exact words, but I remember in the Bible, basically God was telling Jesus, like, as he goes out and heals people and helps people, the Spirit will move for him and with him and through him. And so every time, the more service I am to others, the more downloads I get, and the more abundance that come and synchronicity that comes into my life. And so, yeah, just lots more meditation and looking within. And
do you when you say meditation, I know everybody's different. I've never been a big traditional, but are you talking traditional, stereotypical meditation where you sit somewhere and or whatever, and go into that silence?
I have multiple different methods of meditation that I use at different times for the different goals that I'm trying to reach. And sometimes I do all the different methods at once when I really need to. But the main form of meditation I'm talking about is, your brain waves. They'll teach you light's faster than sound, but sound is faster than light. And you can remind me in a second, and I'll explain that if you want. But your brain waves, your thoughts, and come from your brain waves. And when you've been waking up every morning and going to sleep every night for 23 years or however many years you have.
I'm 39.
39, okay. So yeah, so if you've been for 39 years or 23 years waking up and going to sleep every morning, and when you wake up, you're instantly tossed into, especially nowadays, your phone, what's going on the internet, and then what's going on with your you know, family and what's going on with your friends. And so next thing, all these things just start pouring, what's going on at your job and what's going on, you know, whatever. And so you wake up for all these years, you wake up and you take in everyone else's stress, everyone else's thoughts, everyone else's ideas, everyone else's concepts, and you go to sleep. And you wake up and you do it all over again. And for 23, 39 years, we've been doing this now. And if you don't stop, and take the time to press the mute button on that and isolate yourself, like put yourself inside of a little bubble, a little interdimensional bubble, and like cut all of the outside influence. Next thing you know, you're just going to be an echo. You're just going to be a regurgitation of all the ideas, all the concepts, all of the music, all of the clothing, all of the things that you've ever seen. You'll have no originality, authenticity. So, you know, one of the most important things in meditation is going out in the woods, going out and, like, first off, don't do it in the house. Everyone wants to meditate, put on binaural beat in the house. That shit does not work. It really doesn't. I mean, you know, it's better than nothing. If you are gonna meditate in the house, like right now, because it's, you know, it's winter. I advise to do dark meditation in the bath. And so what I'll do is I'll, you know, put a nice bath with some essential oils and lavender and like Epsom salt and stuff. And I will completely black out my bathroom where there is no light. It's pitch dark. And I'll just lay in the bath and just meditate and practice dark meditation. And it really, so if you are gonna do it in the house, that's how I advise to do it. But otherwise, I really strongly advise that you go out, you know, whatever the most sacred, most kind of like peaceful nature, you know, if there's a headwaters or a waterfall or just a nice little like forest or some acres, just walk out there barefoot, completely barefoot, and let your heart and spirit just kind of guide you like a compass to a nice place out there in the middle of nowhere to meditate. And don't bring anyone with you. Just go by yourself. Yeah. Because they'll distract you, and just go by yourself. Let your spirit guide you to a nice place. Sit down there, and if there's, you know, if there is a place with water can really help. Just the sound of water is 5.28 hertz. And so if you sit there and you meditate, and first off, just start by closing your eyes. And well, the first thing that I did that helped me really get good at meditating was I disciplined myself. And self-discipline, self-control is a huge part of Ascension. I had to discipline myself, and I would tell myself, okay, I am not going to open my eyes till I know it's been at least 10 minutes. And I close my eyes and hold them shut and would not open for at least 10. Then I was like, okay, now I'm not going to open my eyes for at least 20. Then I went up to 30. Then I went to hour. Next thing you know, there was a time where I had some missing time pretty much. I ended up meditating like 9 hours.
Yeah. Good deal.
But yeah. I would start off by disciplining yourself and just saying, I will not open my eyes till I know it's been at least 20 or 30 minutes. Most of the time, by the time you get to 20 minutes, you don't even want to open your eyes because you're really starting to feel the energy move. And your chakras and gates open up, and you're starting to get little visions and starting to feel like light. You start to feel like really good and healing going on. And so, yeah, start off by just disciplining yourself and say, hey, I'm not going to open my eyes till I know it's been at least 20 or 30 minutes. And then close your eyes and just focus on your breathing. Yeah. Just practice conscious breathing, because you don't think about breathing. We do not consciously breathe. Your subconscious mind, which is the 99% that controls your 1%, your subconscious mind is always breathing for you. Yeah. And when you meditate, part of what you're trying to do is access your subconscious mind, because you can walk past 100 people on the street and you'll only remember maybe 1-2 faces, but your subconscious mind remembers everything, all 100 faces. Yeah. And so, you know, part of the Akashic record thing is tapping into your own subconscious mind, which has a lot of information that you're unaware of or have forgot about, to bring back up to the surface. And so if your subconscious mind is always breathing for you and you don't have access to your subconscious mind, well, how do you gain access to your subconscious mind? By consciously breathing. If your subconscious mind is always breathing for you and controlling your breath, well, what happens when you control your breath? Then you take control of your subconscious mind. So you have to focus on consciously breathing to access your subconscious mind. And so, yeah, tell yourself, I'm not going to open my eyes for at least 30 minutes, and discipline yourself like that.
Nice.
Focus on conscious breathing. Only focus on the breath. Listen to the water flow. Listen to the birds chirping, the wind. And next thing you know, 15, 20 minutes in, you're going to get lost in it. You're not even going to want to open your eyes. You're going to start really feeling the spirit move. You might even already start having visions or downloads or whatever. And once you access that subconscious mind, it taps you into the collective conscious mind. And when you tap in that collective conscious mind, you can ask yourself anything and you'll get the answer vividly.
Now you mentioned you were married. We've had
Yeah.
you know, some talk about couples going through the ascension. You know, we've had a few different interviews with people or do different shows, collaborations. So, how long you been married? What's it like for her being with you? How's that?
Um,
How did that play out? Because that's not real. That's not real typical, especially in your age bracket at this point. At least I haven't seen a lot of it. I haven't seen a lot of it, really.
that's a good question. Um, I have a really weird timeline and upbringing that's way different than most. I guess that's why I'm way different than most. I'm an old soul, so I just grew up really quick. But I've been with my wife. Me and my wife have been together since I was 13 and she was 12.
Holy
We literally ran away from home together. Um, and so the first 5 years, that's when I left the house and was really hurt and was in my most lost state. And I've kind of drug her the first 5 years through the mud with me because I was lost. And then because we've been together 10 years, we've been married I think 3 years, but it really feels like we're married for 10. So it feels like we're married the whole time. But yeah, so
I mean,
the
does she?
second 5 years of our 10 is when I woke up. The first 5 years I was asleep and I was more lost than I've ever been. The second 5 year of our relationship is when I woke up, after the first 5 years. And when I woke up, I had a hardcore awakening. My higher self wasn't giving me an option. It pushed me over the edge and said, "You're gonna wake up." And I experienced things that, even some of the most open-minded people on here wouldn't believe.
Well,
If I
I
shared.
can. I think there's quite a few people that could relate. I can. So how does she? Is she on the same wavelength as you with everything? Has she had the same types of experiences?
Yeah, so when I first woke up, I'd like wake up everyone around me when I first reawakened, because I had all this stuff as a kid. Then my parents got divorced, and I just got caught up in the matrix.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
when I reawakened, it all came back and
You went
some.
you went through a condensed version of what 90% of the people ask these questions on the show. They say they were born with it. They, got out of high school, went into the matrix basically, and
And what's
woke.
funny is, even at my most lost point in the matrix, at like 13 years old, like I dropped out of school at like seventh grade. Like I haven't been in school since like seventh grade because I ran away from home like that. And uh but when I dropped out of school is when I found out about the Illuminati and started studying Illuminati. And so at about 12 or 13 years old, I could have like schooled anyone. Like I had like all the Illuminati knowledge, like all of the stuff going. I was totally aware. And like I was even awakening then. It was like I lost my spiritual side that I came in with as a kid, right as I got the correct information and the ugly truth. Then as I was finally getting the ugly truth, I got really lost in the matrix in a lot of other ways. But then when I reawakened, it all just connected. Was like it all clicked, and I was like, oh, that's why I was studying all of this stuff. And my spiritual side came back with the awareness of like all the Illuminati stuff. And then all these downloads started coming in, experiences and contacts started happening again.
What
Um,
what role has she played in your
oh
life?
so to get to that, so when I awakened, I started awakening everybody, and you can ask many of my friends and family. Lots of weird phenomenon happens around me. I've had lots of people come to my house and experience things that they've never experienced before. There's just a lot of crafts and a lot of things that happen around me. And so she experienced something. At first she thought I was crazy. I was like, just come out here and stargaze with me one night. Just come out here and watch these stars with me. And she came out and stargazed with me, and we seen something really, really insane, and it blew her box. And then she opened their mind up finally, and I started sharing all this stuff, and then activated her DNA. And then she started having all these experiences. She's had contact. She had contact with Raw Tier Air, the blue avian, before she was aware, had ever even heard of blue avians or Corey Good or any of that stuff. She described them to me, and physically was awake at night while we were all asleep, and she wakes me up freaked out saying there's a bird guy in our room. There's a bird dude. He had this mohawk thing with these purple feathers that go pink at the tip. And he was doing some hand signal at me like this. And she had never heard of Corey Good or Blue Avians or any of that at the time. And she also has a simultaneous existence as a Lyran. She's very connected to the Lyran beings. I am as well, but she's very, very like, that's her probably deepest contact and connection. She's very tuned in with the Lyran energy and DNA, and has a lot of experiences and stuff there. And she's seen a lot around me and with me. And as I started having all these contact experiences, it started happening to her too. Her and my son were also abducted. Abductees from Grays in Mount Shasta, and she was conscious and awake when she was picked up. And at that time, that was actually one of the things that really broke the barrier. Like, she believed in all this stuff, but she didn't take it that serious. But when she got abducted, while physically conscious and awake in Mount Shasta by the Grays, then she got shook and she started taking it real serious.
Wow. So and there's seemed to be more talk recently about the Grays. What's your take on the Grays? Is that again, it's kind of a weird thing to ask a question like that, because that's me I'm looking at or talking about or asking about. But what's your take on it?
They I mean, my take, I mean, I don't, for the most part, they're malevolent. They're not good. From what I understand, there is some of the taller Zetas, some of the 7-8 foot ones, some of them are actually benevolent, supposedly. But for the most part, some of them are like cyborgs. And then some of them are the original Grays. And basically the original Grays during the Orion Wars cloned themselves so many times for the war that they no longer have the genetic plasticity and potency to be able to reproduce. So they had to come back through time and start abducting humans and hybriding with us to keep their race alive. And so that's why people actually get abducted, because eggs and sperm, and they're hybriding with us. And the thing is them hybriding with us, they only abduct and hybrid Rh negatives usually. And so Aryan, which they know that the Aryan is originally Pleiadian and Anunnaki, which the Pleiadian and Anunnaki have way better genetics than the Greys, obviously. And so basically by them hybriding with some human hybrid Pleiadians, they're actually upgrading their genetics.
Wow. All right. So how do we find you on YouTube? How do we find that song?
So my artist name is Third Eye Indigo. So 3RD space EYE space Indigo. And you can play the video I just dropped about 2-3 weeks ago. We shot up in Mount Shasta, Fibonacci, featuring my brother Illuminati Congo. Shout out to Congo.
All right, here we go.
Some good stuff too.
We go to videos. Oh, Fibonacci. All right, I got it. All right, hang on. Let me get this thing set up. Oh, I want to see this. Hang on, let me get it set up. All right, let me go over here. All right, let's see. We got a comment here. Oh, I missed it. Sorry about that, Jennifer Perez.
Yeah, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to do a little Q&A before we end it too. I mean, we can do a Q&A if anyone has any questions.
Let's see here. All right, here's Third Eye Indigo, Joshua Friedman. Fibonacci. Check it out.
It's lagging pretty bad for some reason.
Spiraling down the Fibonacci, ay. Scaling up like Liberace. 666 like Amatachi, ay. Drip, 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 I'm out my body. Straight surfing through the astral plane. Christ conscious, that's that liquid flame. Morphogenic flowing through my vein. Tripping, dancing in that purple rain. It's Third Eye gang. Third Eye and I'm back again. synchronized, no accident. I'm in the now, so I'm past the tense, yeah, I'm past attention. Forgot to mention that I clash dimensions like, whoa, that ass is not a typo. This is pyro, check the spiral. Gotta meditate, stay on a high note. I can see the universe with my eyes closed. I in the universe, what do I know? It's time to wake up, take off the blindfold. Your eyes say lies if your mind's closed. Your eyes say lies if your mind's closed. Shroom, take me to the moon. Ay, the revolution coming soon. Ay, spiraling down the Fibonacci. Ay, scaling up like Liberace. Ay, spiraling up the Fibonacci spiral. Stairway to heaven, watch me fly home.
Expanding through the spatial, peep the fractal racial. The Taurus is my halo, it's on my dome like Kango. Through the spheres, truth appears, moving gears, I'm too aware. Through them pairs, interfere, it's clear there's pattern everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, rebirthing. Vortex mathematics, the forces in the patterns. The torque form around Saturn, crown Metatronic master. The physical is 5 cycles, yeah. Or cycles of 5, numbers don't lie. Inner eyesight, all spirals. I feel it rising up my spinal. Sophia and Philo, learning never final. Seeing with my eyes closed. Pattern reading, Pythagorean, dragon breathing. Otta even, got a demon tetrahedron. Geometry in all of us, spiral in the nautilus. Galaxies and cosmic dust, spinning like a saucer does.
Spiraling down the Fibonacci. Ay, scaling up like Liberace. Ay, spiraling up the Fibonacci spiral. Stairway to heaven, watch me fly home.
Well, that was an excellent production. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank
Let
you.
me-
Yeah, I produced the beat. I engineered the track, and my cameraman. So my artist name is Third Eye Indigo. I'm the head of Third Eye Gang, and so my cameraman. Shout out to my cameraman Third Eye Optics, who shot the video and edited it, and I co-edited and directed it.
Well, it was a very,
Yeah.
it was an excellent production, you know, with everything, all elements of it. So big props to you and your crew. We have to
Thank you.
collaborate again if you're interested and
Yeah.
shoot the breeze, because we got a lot of stuff we can talk about. We could go on a
Yeah, I
lot.
could go for hours, man.
You're a cool dude. I'm sorry it took however long it took, but it was perfect timing.
yeah, it worked
And if
out.
I get back up to Shasta, we'll have to have a little soul gathering. We did one in Sedona. I don't know if you've ever heard of Romeo Barron. He does-
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I'm friends with him. I just performed at the Community Healing Conscious Hip Hop event in downtown LA
Yeah.
last week
Yeah.
on Fibonacci Day. And he actually came out and was there and watched me
Yeah.
perform and stuff.
We did a little impromptu soul gathering in Sedona. He came from LA. He did some freestyle light language with a flute, with a native flute. Then he did a freestyle with a sister of ours over there, Shakina Rose, who does harmonic light language. We just make it up as we go. Sometimes when we're on the road, we're able to pull something together. But if we get up there around Shasta, I'll definitely give you a holler. And
Yeah,
then-
please let me know. I'd be happy to, participate and, perform some music or speak or whatever.
we'll reach out to you again and we'll get together again.
Okay.
All right, man. Peace out, brother. Thank you very
All right,
much.
peace. In Lakesh, mind for I am another you. Response is Alaken, for you are another me. That's the motto I
Alaken.
live by.
Alaken.
Mhm.
Thanks for teaching
Have a
me that.
great day, everyone.
All right, brother.